Hi everybody, Dr. Joe here. I wanted to take a few minutes once again and connect with our community and discuss some theoretical concepts in a hypothetical way, and then give you some practical tools to apply to your life over the next couple weeks. So when I wrote the book, You Are the Placebo, when I started understanding the mechanics of conditioning, when I started to investigate how we can be programmed into both limited states of mind and more unlimited states of mind, I went through about 2 weeks of being really angry at myself because I realized how programmed I was, how I had these unconscious beliefs that I wasn't even aware of that have to do with the nature of reality. And so much of our reality around us is programming us into the understanding or the belief that we need something outside of us, some exogenous substance, some person, some product, something in our outer world to make us feel better in our inner world, and to take away lack, or take away separation, or take away fear, or take away some type of dependency. And when I began to realize that it's pretty much all around us, I started to look closer at people and how we live and how we think and how we feel. And it makes sense that if you're angry about the traffic, if you're unhappy about the weather, if you're frustrated with a coworker, if you're in fear that something outside of you is going to infect you and control your inner state, we'd have to say by very definition that we are victims to our environment. Now, this is an unconscious process because people complain about the weather all the time, and what they're saying is, I'm allowing something in my outer world to really control my mood, my feeling, and my thoughts. I'm allowing my coworker, who I despise or resent, that when I'm in the presence of him or her, that person has power over me to control my feelings and to control my emotions. And if you're angry about the political situation or about something in your outer world, the stronger the emotion that you feel, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more you pay attention to the cause. And if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, then we're giving away a lot of our power to change, a lot of our power to be more unlimited to some person or some circumstance. Now, if this is the unconscious program, and that unconscious program, by thinking and feeling in the same way, creates an unconscious belief, then most people don't even have the awareness or the consciousness to understand that they have a limited belief, that maybe there's an inner environment that we can change in our thoughts and feelings that can begin to produce effects in our outer world. So if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and you're fearing something in your life and you're giving it a lot of attention, then you're giving it your power. You're giving it a certain level of consciousness that's equal to the emotion the person is experiencing. So you give your power away to a person, to a foreign agent, a microscopic organism. You give your power away to someone or something in your life, then it means then that something or someone in your life is really influencing your inner world of thoughts and feelings. Now, our community has worked diligently in understanding that they have to begin to take their power back. And the way we begin to break those bonds energetically, in other words, let's just say that you have a conditioned response to a coworker. And every time you're around the coworker, your memory of them causes you to feel a certain way, consciously or unconsciously. The environment is controlling your state of being, because how you think and how you feel is your state of being. So then you give your attention to that person, and in fact, when you think about that person, that person produces a strong emotion. And every thought has a frequency, and the frequency of that thought around that person is causing you to signal the quantum field. So how would we change that then? Because if you then understand that the stronger the emotion you feel, the more you pay attention to that person, and then you understand that if you are sharing a certain set of thoughts and feelings, you have a certain vibration, a certain frequency. And if that person has a thought or a feeling about you, then on some level you are bound by an invisible field of energy that exists beyond the material world. And somehow you're bound energetically to that person, or better yet, you're bound to your past, present reality. Everything is going to stay the same because your energy is the same. And our student body has worked diligently in taking their power back to change, and understanding that they're not going to be influenced or make an excuse about why they're feeling and thinking a certain way and putting it on something outside of them. Now, this is turning a big battleship around. And it takes practice, because the only way that we can do that is sit in stillness and pay attention to our thoughts, to notice how we're feeling, to watch our mind all of a start thinking about all the things we have to do and lose the present moment. So as people sit in a meditation and their body gets agitated, it gets frustrated, they start feeling anxious and fear, this is a sign they're doing their meditation properly. This is a sign now that whatever it is that they've relied on in their outer world to take away their fear, to take away their lack or separation, now they're not relying on their cell phone or their computer. Now they're becoming resourceful. They're saying, I am going to lower the volume to my fear. I'm going to lower the volume to my anxiety. I am going to overcome my guilt or my pain or my suffering. And every time they become conscious, they're feeling a certain emotion, and there's a thought or a memory associated with it, they settle their brain and body back down into the present moment, and they lower the volume to that emotion and apply the formula. What they're doing then is, when they lower their volume to certain emotions, they're going to take their attention off that person or problem. And in a sense, they begin to weaken the energetic bond. And if they keep practicing this over and over again, sooner or later, the body is going to be trained to a new mind. And when that happens, there's a liberation of energy. We build our own field. We take our power back. And now we have the ability to change. Now, this simple little explanation has nothing to do with whether I think that certain situations in our world right now is real, or I don't want to get into a debate about whether you should wash your hands or whether you should practice social distancing. These are all things that are smart things to do, because if you're under the unconscious program that you are the victim to the circumstances in your life and you're not aware of it, then I would recommend that you do all the things that you need to do, matter to matter, to keep your brain and body in balance. But let's just assume, for the sake of a hypothetical situation, that you had no external substance, no thing in your outer world that you could rely on to make you feel better. No medications, no social structures. It was just you now in your own innate capacity to overcome something in your environment. It would make sense then that in order for you to really make significant strides, it would be important for you to understand how powerful your body really is. You would really start thinking about, wow, there's been research that has shown that back in the early 1900s, people were injected with mucosa that was infected with foreign agents like bacteria and viruses. And in numerous cases, almost all cases, they had no infection. So there is an innate order in the body that has a tendency to want to move back into balance and heal. But if you're living in fear all the time and you're giving your power away to something outside of you, then that substance or that condition has power over you. So then, what if you had no other resources but yourself? Then you would have to start thinking about how you would have to think and feel in order to be greater than that condition in your environment. And our student body has applied the formula and sat for hours to overcome themselves, and they understand what it takes to do that. And so it would make sense then that the theoretical understanding here is not enough. And in fact, the theory will do nothing for somebody who is still under the unconscious belief that every single day someone or something is controlling their feelings and thoughts. They're not prepared. That's natural. That's normal for the common person. They may not be prepared to overcome the conditions in their environment. But let's just say a person then can overcome their body, can overcome their memory of people in their life, or take their attention off the things they own, or where they're sitting or where they work, and not think about the predictable future or the familiar past. Let's just say they had the capacity to get beyond themselves, and they practice that on a regular basis. If they start changing the way they think and feel now, and they understand what that does when they combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, that they would be changing their energy to some degree, and they were changing their brain and body to be greater than their environment. Many of our people in our community have seen the effects in their outer world. In other words, when they started no longer thinking and feeling equal to their environment, when they changed their state of being and started to think and feel greater than their environment, and they started to do that on a daily basis to the point where it became so natural and so familiar to them that they started to produce a new energetic signature, the thought being the electrical charge, the feeling being the magnetic charge. They started to feel more whole. That's what this center does, and less separate. And they began to tune in to potentials that existed in the quantum field, and they practiced every single day, memorizing what that energy feels like, knowing it by heart, and laying a thought or an intent on that frequency or energy that the heart is emitting as an external field. That energy can carry the thought of wellness. That energy in the heart can carry the thought of a new life. The energy of suffering, of victimization, carries a different set of thoughts, and it exerts very little effect on our reality. But when a person does this over and over again, and they don't give up after 2 days or 3 days, and they keep practicing, let's just say that they produce an effect in their outer world. And the moment they see the synchronicity, the moment they see the opportunity, the moment they see the coincidence appear in their life, it catches them for a moment, and they realize that on some level they created that. On some level, by changing their thoughts and feelings, it'd be different than the conditions in their environment, and they see the manifestation of what they've been putting their attention on. All of a sudden now they start believing more now that they are the creator of their lives and less of the victim of their lives. And now they would practice not letting the weather, coworkers, traffic, political situations, family crises, news to influence the way they think and feel. They would start realizing that if they responded to the kind of the consciousness of a social culture, that they would be more at effect instead of at cause. So when they start seeing that they're producing an effect in their life, and they start believing more that they're the creator of their life and less of the victim of their life, this is no longer philosophical. Our student body has the experience of doing that, and it would beg the question, wow, there's potential danger in our outer world, and I have the tools to not go into fear and to not go into scarcity or lack or competition or frustration, but I'm gonna sustain my inner state. It would make sense then, if you practice this and you believe that more that you are the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life, the next question would be, well, I wouldn't want to create that health condition, that I would not want to fall prey to the fear that would weaken my immune system, that could potentially cause my body to be out of balance. Now, this is not normal. This is not natural. This is supernatural, and it takes quite a bit of practice, quite a bit of repetition, quite a bit of awareness, and certainly quite a bit of energy to come out of our resting state and become conscious of these unconscious beliefs and programs. So then the more immune you are to your environment in how it controls, or how we believe it controls our feelings and thoughts, the more immune we are to our environment. The more immune we are to the conditions in our outer world. And our inner world now is an army of order, an army of coherence. And if thoughts are the currency of the brain and feelings are the currency of your body, and we communicate with our body with feelings, well, then elevated emotions like love and gratitude and thankfulness begins to open our heart, and our body begins to move into that resourceful state of repair and regeneration. But what would be the signal that you would want your immune system to feel, that you would be directing it to? I mean, what would an invincible immune system feel like? That would be an important question. What would a healthy and robust immune system feel like to you? And it would be that emotion then that you would be creating that would cause the signal to the cell to begin to upregulate, to begin to get new information and to strengthen itself. So I like the idea of retreating from our lives in the circumstances that we're in, but I want to see it as an opportunity for us to no longer be victims to the condition in our world, but truly understand that we are the creator, and we got to start somewhere, and that's the important part. And it's a great opportunity for us to practice just a few things. Practice in one day, not letting or becoming conscious of how many times you would excuse yourself for feeling and thinking because of someone or something outside of you. Practice becoming conscious of some beliefs that say you need something outside of you to change your internal state. You got to practice taking your power back. And when you do this, you build your own electromagnetic field, and it is that field of energy that the body uses to repair and restore itself. There's energy to heal when we do this properly. And so I'm not saying to run outside and be exposed and try to be greater than your environment. No. What I'm saying is we have to start practicing taking our power back from all the elements in our outer world. And we leak energy all the time. We leak energy to a person that captures our attention, that we have a strong emotion to. We leak energy to another circumstance that elicits fear. And our energy is being leaked in all different directions. And what I suggest now is to begin to stop that process and begin to draw that energy back into us by moving back into that present moment and applying the formula of being greater than your environment, being greater than your body, and being greater than time. And then being able to bring that energy in your waking day with your awareness right into your life, and to embody the power to heal, to embody an invincible immune system that can upregulate and sustain itself against any foreign agent, to live in your heart every day and not be in fear and experience wholeness, and let your body memorize that feeling and become the scientist in your life, and to see by doing this, if you feel less fear and you start feeling more empowered by yourself, and start believing maybe that you come preloaded with all the biological and neurological machinery to do this. And so I want to end this little explanation with a little practical meditation. And so I want to do this little mini meditation where I'm going to ask you to open your awareness and create what we call brain coherence and change your brain waves. And then I'm going to ask you, out of all the things you can put your attention on today, I'm going to ask you to put it on your sacred heart. You're the center of wholeness, the center of oneness, the union of polarity, the union of opposites. This is where our divinity begins. And this is where energy begins to move out from the body and up into the brain. And I've seen it on scans now to tell you that once that heart starts beating in order, there's a wave of energy that just floods the neocortex, the thinking brain, and sedates it into a slower brainwave pattern, more creative alpha state. And all I want you to do then is open your heart and feel an emotion that you would want to experience from some event in your life in the future. And don't wait for the experience to happen to feel the emotion. Generate that emotion and understand that you are changing your field. And whatever you broadcast into the field is your experiment with destiny. And I want you to be able to do it on command with your eyes open as well as your eyes closed. So I hope you enjoy the meditation. Let's start off by sitting up and getting ready and closing our eyes. And we'll start the music in a few seconds. Thank you for listening.